Hey everybody, Azzaro here with Gents with another haul video. I told you in my last haul video that I'd have another one coming up soon, and this one is it. I have mainly designer fragrances here, but some really nice pickups to go over with you today. I've got a good mix of some new releases and some lesser known fragrances that are still pretty nice. So let's go ahead and jump into this because there's a lot to cover here. Now I'm not going to go into too much detail on each one of these just because there's a lot of them and I don't want this video to run too terribly long. So I'll just give you a really quick talking point on each one. Alright, which one to do first? We'll go with this one. Jil Sander Sun Min Fizz. This one came out in 2016. You can actually pick this up super cheap on FragranceNet as of this video. I think they have it there for about $15 after the discount code. And for whatever reason, I just love this bottle. I'm not sure why. It's just a thin, square bottle. But the coloration on it, just the way it looks, I really like it. The cap is just a thin plastic. There's nothing special going on there. I mean, it's basic, but it's kind of cool. And the note breakdown on this is kind of neat as well. It has solar accords, so notes that smell like the sun. Or I guess that would give you the feeling of what a sunny day might smell like, maybe. Also ozonic notes, aquatic notes, also amber, vanilla, ambergris, and apple. This isn't really anything groundbreaking, mind-blowing, anything like that. But as far as being a cheap summer fragrance, it's actually really nice. It puts you in a good mood. And it is at least a little bit interesting because it's got a lot of warm notes, some spicy notes, and then your typical aquatic, airy kind of summer notes. And with it being right around $15 for 125 milliliters, it's a really solid buy. Very soon I'm going to be doing a cheapie list of inexpensive fragrances. Might put this one on there. Very solid pickup for summertime for very cheap. Next up, let's take a look at a new Chrome. This one is Chrome Under the Pole by Azzaro. Now you can see in the close-up of this bottle that it has kind of a milky coloration under there. And at first you might think that it's just the coloration of the glass, like the inside is sprayed white. But the fragrance itself is actually milky. So when you spray this on your skin, you can see little white spots wherever you spray it, little globs of white. And that's because this fragrance is alcohol-free. And I know some people really hate this fragrance. Personally, I don't. I tried this at Belk not long after it came out. It's not something I was gonna buy at full retail, but now that you can get it on the cheap, I decided to pick it up. And considering that this was launched this year, that's a pretty good deal. This is a fragrance that I'm planning on reviewing in the not too distant future. It's obviously a spring and summertime fragrance, and it's on the brisk, fresh side of things. It's a refreshing citrus fragrance with a woody dry down, not necessarily anything groundbreaking, but it smells nice enough for warm weather. One thing that is not so great about this though is the performance. The times I've worn it on my skin, it hasn't lasted all that long. Next up, a newer release from the house of Dolce & Gabbana. It is Dolce & Gabbana The One Gray. Dolce & Gabbana's The One Gray did not get very good reviews when it came out. Most people did not like it. I already have a review ready to go on this one, which is gonna be out before too long, so I don't wanna say too much about this fragrance here, but I will say that I feel like Dolce & Gabbana did what they were most likely setting out to do with this fragrance. And honestly, I'm not 100% sure if it deserves all the hate that it's gotten. So I don't want to say too much more about this one. Again, review will be out before too long on that. Next up, another newer release. This one is from Salvatore Ferragamo. It is Uomo Signature. Obviously, the newest flanker in the Uomo line. First there was Ferragamo Uomo, then Uomo Casual Life, now Signature. This is another one, just like the One Gray, that I have a review ready to go on. So I'm not gonna say too much about this one. Just Cliff's Notes. If you like Uomo, you'll probably like this one. Absolute simplest way to break this down. If you take the original Uomo, you get rid of the tiramisu, you replace it with coffee and leather, then you have this. And obviously there are more differences, but just Cliff's Notes version, that's what this is. And you'll have to wait for the review to see whether I think it's awesome or I think it sucks. It's gonna be one of those. Next up, a super cheap pickup. This one I got off of eBay for next to nothing. It's from Reyane Tradition, Insurrection 2 Wild. I'm assuming that most of you already know what this is. This is a clone of Mugler Pure Havane, which is one of my favorite cool weather fragrances. I've gotten a lot of wear out of that over the years, lots of compliments too. This is basically just a super cheap version of that. And this is pretty close to Pure Havane. Maybe not the exact same quality levels, which really you shouldn't expect that since this is right around 20 bucks, but close. It's got a sweet honeyed tobacco note, very nice fragrance for cool weather. And the packaging on these Reyane Tradition bottles, actually really good, much better than you would expect for a super cheap fragrance. Next up, some stuff that Max Aroma sent me. 4 fragrances from Maserati. Now there was a time maybe when you would think of a car manufacturer making fragrances and you would think, oh, they've gotta suck. But that's not the case anymore, especially with houses like Ferrari and Mercedes-Benz making some really high quality fragrances. So I've got 4 Maseratis here that I'm going to show you. Haven't really given these much of a wearing, so I can't go into too much detail here. The first one is just called Maserati by La Martina. The cap is metal wrapped around plastic and then a leather wrap around the cap itself. And then you have the Maserati logo there. There it is. This one has actually received some comparisons to Tuscan Leather and Parfums de Marly Godolphin online, so you may think that this is a clone of those fragrances. I can see where people are coming from there, but this is not a clone of Tuscan Leather. There's a leather note in this fragrance, but it's not the same. Admittedly, the leather note here is similar to the leather note in Tuscan Leather, but that's really about the only thing they have in common. That fragrance has some herbal nuances, as well as some woody notes like cedar and vetiver. So really the only similarity is they both have leather, and the leather note in the 2 fragrances is close. I've only worn that a single time. So far though, it smells good. And one thing I should tell you about these Maserati fragrances too, they're not cheap. These go for $100 online for this size bottle. So whereas Ferrari you can regularly pick up for $25 and less, this one is 100 bucks. Next up is Maserati Centennial Polo Tour. And with these Maserati fragrances, I was actually thinking of having my wife do a smell and rate on these. That way we could see if she thinks that they're worth it or not. I may just end up reviewing them myself though. It's still kind of up in the air. This has notes of nutmeg, incense, violet, orange, and ivy, among others. I've only smelled this off tester strips. I have not given it a proper wearing, so I can't really go into details on this one. Next up, Maserati Pure Code. This one has a lot of citrus notes, aquatic notes, woody notes. To me though, I've worn this once and off my skin, it smelled like soap. Like just a really clean soap. So this is one I'm gonna have to wear more, but yeah, just like a white bar of soap. And last up from the Maserati fragrances is this one, Pure Code Blue. And this one's gonna be the newest of these Maserati fragrances because this one was released this year in 2018. This one has an interesting note breakdown because it has notes like iced lemon, pina colada, sea notes, apple, among others. And not very often that you see pina colada as a note. That one smells fresh and nice, but I've only smelled it off tester strips, haven't given it a proper wearing, so can't really give you much in-depth information yet. But yeah, 4 Maseratis, you'll see more about them in the future. Next up, Parfums de Marly Percival. This one got a decent amount of hype when it was released, and I want to do this just to annoy people. The caps on these Parfums de Marly bottles are really heavy. The last time I talked about a Parfums de Marly fragrance, I mentioned that the cap was heavy, that you could throw it at somebody, and that triggered somebody in the comments, made them very upset. So I'd like to say that you can throw these caps at somebody. They're very heavy. They can be used as a weapon. Seriously though, Percival, this smells like a niche version of Mont Blanc Legend, which smells like a version of Abercrombie & Fitch Fierce. So you could say, to an extent, that Percival is like a niche version of an Abercrombie & Fitch scent, which is not really all that far off. But Percival, for what it's worth, apparently is a really good seller. I spoke with Alan, the owner of Beverly Hills Perfumery, which a lot of you know him. He sells just some of the best niche fragrances on earth. Great guy too. If you don't know about Beverly Hills Perfumery, if you're in the market for niche fragrances, hit him up on Facebook, let him know what you're looking for and he'll hook you up. I've said this a million times, I'm trying to help the newer guys out. Seriously, just do what I'm telling you. If you're in the market for a niche fragrance, go onto Facebook, Beverly Hills Perfumery, type him a message, get hooked up. Back to this. He says that Percival is actually a really good seller. Like, very well. So apparently it's working out for Parfums de Marly. People are buying it, people enjoy it, it's people pleasing, it's mass appealing. It is what they wanted it to be. So in that sense, it's a success. So last is a fragrance that I have wanted to pick up for most of the year and finally got around to doing it. It's one that I sampled in Atlanta, loved it, and just couldn't get a good deal until recently. It is Gentleman Eau de Parfum by Givenchy. This fragrance is the bomb. It's one of my favorite releases of this year, one of my favorite pickups of this year. Hopefully I'll review this in the not too distant future. It has vanilla, orris, which is iris, and patchouli, some of the notes in here, and it just smells fantastic, smells great. I put this up there with Luna Rossa Black as one of the best releases of this year, at least as far as designers go. Just super solid, fantastic fragrance. So hopefully I'll do a review on that before too long, but I've already kind of let you know that I really, really like it. All right guys, those are some of my pickups. In the comments, let me know either things that you're wanting to pick up or things that you have picked up recently. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys again next time.